Yeah, it's, the main theme, I guess, the arrogant ape is ultimately the human superiority complex. We think that's
Okay, well, why don't you start there, Mark? She calls it the human superiority complex. So, what is the human superiority complex?
it's basically, I mean, to tie it back to Ishmael, it's kind of maps onto the taker mythology that the world is here for us to dominate, to control, and whatever, basically do whatever we want with it. That we're separate from nature.
We're separate from nature. All right. So, human exceptionalism then is the idea that there's nature and then there's humans,
Right.
right? We're somehow removed from that.
Yeah, there's millions, billions, possibly life forms on this planet.
Trillions, I think, when you start, when you include all the bacteria, which later in the book she gets to that.
Which we'll get to, but yeah, so it's like you have, and like back to Ishmael, that quote from Ishmael that he says, this may come as a surprise to you, but you are just one of many life forms that inhabit this planet.
Yeah, you mentioned that as one of your favorite quotes from the book,
right? So yeah, it's like, and so I just, you saw it, you sent it to me, you initially, I believe, sent me the Audible link or whatever.
Yeah, I just told you, Mark, you got to check this one out.
Yeah, and I actually immediately purchased it from Audible, listened to the Audible version, and then thought, hey, you know what? I actually want to look at this book, just not just read it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to underline things on an audiobook.
Yeah, I mean, they do have like a bookmark thing. So you can kind of just, but all it does is it just puts a place. So when you hit the bookmark, it just goes back to that
page,
page and it reads that part. But yeah, so I like this, how she starts the book with this quote from Hamlet what a piece of work is man, marvels Hamlet. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god, the paragon of animals. And she goes on to say, basically, like, with that short little paragraph or a couple lines, she pretty much sums up or Shakespeare, I should say, sums up the human superiority complex.
Yes, that we are, as she puts it, human beings are the most clever, moral, and capable species on Earth. That's according to Shakespeare, right?
Right.
And there was a book, I never read it, but there was like a literary critic. He wrote Shakespeare, The Invention of the Human, right? So, a lot of modern conceptions of what makes a human or what a human being is and what a man is, at least according to I think his name is Harold Bloom, I think. At any rate, according to his thesis, that much of what we assume to be the nature of man, it can be traced pretty much to Shakespeare's plays and sonnets and what have you.
Right. And it's funny because she talks about it in where how like a lot of the I tried to read Shakespeare. I'll admit I'm not super familiar. I mean, I did read what I had to in high school or whatever, but she does talk about how like a lot of the characters in Hamlet specifically, but in a lot of his other works apparently, is that the hubris. Like the main character, it's always their hubris, and in Hamlet, it's his hubris that is his undoing, essentially, which essentially is us, is our hubris that we think that somehow we're separated from the entire rest of the planet is ultimately leading to our downfall.
Yeah.